So welcome back. We have started with a very interesting and breaking the shackles topic, which was what transmission lines. And why I said it broke the shackles because we saw that for high frequency circuits and where the length of the line which we use is very long, KVL and KCL cannot be applied. And why it cannot be applied? Because of something which is called as transit time effect. Right? So what was this transit time effect? Right? I said I had a voltage source, I had a load connected here. So this was V, this was R or Z. Right? So what I said, if I try to find the voltage at time t1 at a location A prime along the transmission line, it will be P volts. So it will take a finite amount of time, transit time, to travel to BB prime. So this P volts will come here. But since it takes a finite amount of time to travel from A prime to BB prime, so by the time it travels here, what will this voltage at P A prime become? It will become Q volts. So there is a difference between the two locations, difference in voltage between the two locations, right? So this is what's called as transit time effect. So because of this, I cannot apply KVL. So if you didn't understand with this what I said, you take the very simple example of this signal and of this signal. This is time and this is voltage. So what I said, so if this is my A prime, this is my BB prime. So I extrapolate it here. So what is happening here? For this the difference is very small, and for this the difference is very high. So for low frequency signals we can ignore transit time effect. For high frequency signals we can't ignore, right? So similarly, then we said that since it is dependent on transit time, so transit time is L by V because velocity is distance upon time. So if the transit time is high, and what is transit time? T1 plus delta T, right? So this was delta T. If delta T is high, so for this signal also it will create problems. And when will this time be high? When length is high, right? So we said that for high frequency signals, transit time effect is applicable, and when the length of the transmission line is high, the transit time effect is applicable. So when I say transit time effect is applicable, means what I mean, KVL, KCL fail. That is, they cannot be applied, right? So this is what we saw yesterday. So at one point I said, what is the demarcation of this application? Means when we can ignore the transit time effect apart from this thing. So here if you see the transit time, which is, this was delta T, right? So if delta T is very much less than the time period of the signal here, what is happening here? This delta T is comparable to the time period, right? So here we can ignore, right? So means when it is very much less than the time period, when the transit time is very much less than the time period, what will happen? We can ignore the signal. So when TR is very much less than T, we can ignore, right? So what is TR? L by V, and V T I can say it is 1 by F. So what is L? I can say V by F. So L should be very much less than lambda. So for this, TTE, that is transit time effect, can be ignored, right? So when can transit time effect be ignored? Again, when the length of the transmission line is very much less than the wavelength at which the line is operating. So wavelength is what? V by F, velocity by frequency. So velocity is actually phase velocity, so which we have seen in electromagnetic. So then we say, so we need to have some other method to analyze the transmission line. So we said the next recourse is wave theory, but wave theory involves vectors, divergence, curl, so it is not used, or rather it is becomes complicated to use, right? So what we said, so again I'll draw the diagram. So we had this resistor R, so we had this voltage V. So what we said, well, you try to, we are already comfortable with KVL and KCL, so we'll try to use the same things. So what will we do? So what we did for electric field due to infinite line charge, since it was infinite in nature, we divided it into very small sections. So in the same way, we'll divide this into very small section, and we'll take the small section and try to analyze it. So we will keep this small section so small, such infinitesimally small, that the transit time effect is negligible, or it is not at all applicable here. Okay, so that is how we'll try to analyze this. Okay, so for that, what we need to do, we need to model this part, right? So how to model that part? So it is what, nothing but a copper wire, we can assume, since it is a transmission line, right? So it will have some finite internal resistance of the copper wire, right? So first thing, for the two lines will have the resistance. So this is R, this is R. Okay, so obviously this R may or may not be equal. Then the current is flowing here, right? The current is flowing here. So we know by Ampere's law what will happen, a magnetic field will be generated in which direction, given by right hand rule. So it will curl like this. So magnetic field will be generated in this direction, right? So how can I model this magnetic field generation? I can model it by an inductor. So I'll have an inductor here as well as an inductor here. So this is this cell, right? So then what is happening? I have this voltage source, two lines carrying the current. So they are separated by some dielectric, for example air. So what will happen? A capacitor is modeled, right? So a dielectric separated by two conducting plates forms a capacitor, that you know, right? So I'll draw it again here. It's not wrong, just to show the exact model. Okay, so this is R, this is L, this is R, this is L. So draw the capacitor in this way for some reason. Okay, so then what will happen? Since no wire is ideal, so practically there will be some leakage current through the capacitor. So how is the leakage current? It flows through a resistor, right? But what is the problem? You already have a resistor. So I'll model it as a conductance. Okay, so only reason I write conductance is because I already have resistor here to avoid confusion. Okay, so what will be the value of this G? I mean, not the absolute value, small, medium, large. Now since this is a leakage current, so obviously it will be very small. So this resistance should be high. So conductance should be what? Small. Okay, so this is how we have modeled the section of a transmission line. So this is called as equivalent circuit of a transmission line. Okay, so this is the equivalent circuit of a transmission line, or to be precise, I can say of a section of a transmission line. So this is a very small section we are considering, such that what is happening, the transit time effect is negligible, or in fact not at all applicable here. Such small length we have considered. Okay, then some things you should consider now. So I have modeled this small section, right? So once I have taken this resistance, what you need to understand is this part is ideal. Okay, because I have, so if you take a copper wire, if you take the resistance, do you see a actual resistor there? Do you actually see a resistor? No, the resistance is distributed along the length of the wire, right? So what we have done is we have taken this distributed along the length of the wire here. So we have modeled that, right? So this part of the wire is now ideal. Similarly, this part is ideal, this part is ideal. Okay, so this is how we have modeled. First thing. Then again I am taking the copper wire. So as I said, the resistance is distributed along the length of the wire, right? So if I take the two sides to both the wires, again it is distributed along the length of the wire, right? So what to understand from this is, since the resistance is distributed along the length of the wire, so it is depending on the length of the wire, right? Sort of, right? So that is the reason what is happening is, these are not absolute values. So the unit is not ohms. So we define R, L, G and C. Since they are distributed, so we cannot directly take the value as ohms, right? Because they are distributed along the length of the wire. So we write them as per unit length, right? So what is the unit of this? R ohms per meter. Similarly, C will be farads per meter. And why this is the case is because if you go in the market and ask for a transmission line, for example, a coaxial cable, so data sheet will mention R, L, G, C. So it will mention in per meter only, ohm per meter, Henry per meter, Siemens per meter, or mho per meter, and farad per meter, right? So why is they mention in per meter length? Because the resistances are distributed along the length of the wire. So for 1 meter, what is the resistance? That is the standard they have kept. Okay. So that is what we need to understand. So this is per meter, right? So I want the value of resistance but to analyze. So what I do, I'll multiply by the length. So let's say this length is delta z. So we are considering this as z axis because we have always assumed that propagation is along z axis. So this length is delta z. So I'll multiply everything by delta z. Right? So this is what our equivalent circuit of a transmission line, and this is what we have to analyze. Okay. So let me again draw it. So this is R delta Z, L delta Z, R delta Z, L delta Z, C delta Z, and G delta Z. So like this section will again be repeated here because we have taken just a small section, right? So I can again draw this, right? But we are taking only one part such that the transit time effect is negligible, right? So ideally what we want this to be, ideally this delta z should tend to 0 for the best case, that is transit time is not applicable at all, right? So that is what we need to understand. So if we take one of the sections also, it can be applied to all the sections. That is what we are doing here. Okay. So now I want to analyze this. So what I say, I have applied a voltage V here, right? And you see it is a function of Z everywhere. So I write V of Z. So here let's say I have come a distance. This is what delta Z. So this distance will be Z plus delta Z because this distance is what we have taken delta Z. We have taken this as delta Z, right? So then a current will flow here. So this will be I of Z, right? So let's try to analyze this. So what will this current be? This will be obviously I of Z plus delta Z. So this current will essentially get divided here. So this is, let's say, I prime or I dash. So strictly speaking, this is called as, this is I prime. You don't, the technical term is prime, not I dash actually. Okay. So I want to analyze this. So since I am assuming that delta Z is tending to 0, so transit time effect is not applicable here, right? So I can apply KVL and KCL, right? So how will this be? So let's say I try applying the KVL to the outermost loop. So this is plus minus, right? So what will this be? So let's say I start from here. So like pen. So V of Z. So what will this be? Total impedance will be what? This is R delta Z. What will be the impedance? This is the inductor value, remember. So impedance will be what? J omega L delta Z. So R plus J omega L delta Z. So V of Z minus of R plus J omega L delta Z. So if you are confused, I'll write in this way. Sorry. So V of Z minus R delta Z into I of Z. And what is the impedance of inductor? J omega L. So J omega L delta Z I of Z. So I come here, I am taking this as a voltage directly. So minus V of Z plus delta Z. Again, I will get the same thing. So current will return here, right? So current will be like this here. So it will be minus only. So minus R delta Z minus J omega L delta Z. I am complete done with it. So equal to 0, right? So therefore V of Z. So minus R delta Z I Z. Here also I'll have I Z. Sorry. So this will be 2 times, this will be 2 times. And if I take the minus sign common, so it will be minus of 2 times R plus J omega L I of Z minus V of Z plus delta Z equal to 0. Here also I'll have delta Z. Sorry, I'm making a lot of silly mistakes. So now this 2 is creating a problem because it is the only constant rest all are available. So practically what we can do is we can absorb this in R, right? So this will be multiplied with R and J omega will be multiplied with 2. So you can just write that as a sentence. So therefore you can basically write, to avoid the constant 2, we assimilate it in r plus j omega l. So therefore v of z minus of r plus j omega l I of z minus v of z plus delta z equal to 0. Here also delta z is there. So what will this be? So I'll take this here. So v of z plus delta z. Then this will come here. So minus v of z. So therefore v of z plus delta z minus v of z. Right. So this delta z is there. So I'll take it here. So it will get divided. So upon delta z equal to. So then what I have, minus of r plus j omega l into I of z. So equal to minus of r plus j omega l I of z. Right. So this is what the equation which we are getting. Okay. So when is this applicable? So what we are assuming, so this is again what we are doing is, here transit time effect is applicable. So KVL, KCL fail. Right, so we cannot apply KVL and KCL. So this circuit cannot be analyzed, but we have to find some way to analyze this. For example, if it is a high frequency circuit where transit time effect is applicable. So what we are doing? So we are saying that we take a very small section of a transmission line such that delta z tends to 0. So transit time effect is not applicable. So I can apply KVL and KCL. So what is delta z? It is tending to 0. Right? So you can read, since delta z tends to 0, so therefore limit of delta z tends to 0, e of z plus delta z minus v of z upon delta z equal to limit delta z tends to 0 minus of r plus j omega l I of z. Now what is this thing? V of z plus delta z minus v of z upon delta z in the limit delta z tends to 0. Can you just think? Just think over it. So if we think about it, it is of the form limit of h tends to 0 f of x plus h minus f of x upon h. So if you have not already got what that is equal to, you just see this formula. Now can you think of it? I have given you one more hint. So what is it? If you remember, you have studied this in applied mathematics. So this is what f dash of x. Right? So in the same way, delta z is acting as x h here. Right? And z is x. Right? So this will be what? V dash of z. Right? Means derivative of voltage with respect to z. So therefore, this is what? Nothing but dv by dz. And there is no delta z term here. So this limit is of no use. So minus of r plus j omega l I of z. So very beautiful equation we are getting. Then you can write similarly di by dz equal to minus of g plus j omega c e of z. And how will you get this equation? We applied KVL here, right? So take this node, you apply KCL. Assume all currents outgoing. Then we apply it KCL and solve for I of z. You will get this di by dz equal to minus this minus of g plus j omega c. This is c e of z. C the capacitor. Okay. So what is happening here? Okay. So again I will take a new page so that it is clear for you. So what we got the two equations as dv by dz equal to minus of r plus j omega l I of z and di by dz equal to minus of g plus j omega c v of z. Right? Sorry. So these are the governing equations for the voltage and current for this circuit. Right? which we have. So basically you have taken this circuit only, you have taken a small section of it, right? So what is the difference here? So far what you have seen, that voltage and current relations are what? V equal to IR. If you are writing current, it will become I equal to V into, sorry, admittance. Voltage into admittance, or voltage is current into resistance, right? If you want, you can say this is impedance, right? If we are including interrupters and capacitors, right? So these are which type of equations? These are linear equations, right? But what is happening when you are considering, when the transit time effect is coming into picture? What is happening? You are getting differential equations, right? And what does this mean? Let's say the voltage is constant. So what will happen? Derivative of a constant is always 0, right? So this will be 0. So this cannot be 0. So current is 0. So essentially what you are getting, a 0 solution, right? Means what? Constant cannot be a solution here, right? Because obviously if you have switched on the voltage is getting dropped across the line and the current is flowing along the line, right? So what does this mean? Voltage is not constant along the line, right? So what does this mean? If I have a like this circuit, what does this mean? I have a voltage here, let's say V1. Since it is not constant along the line, I just proved it. So it will be V2 here, it will be V3 here, it will be V4 here, right? So same goes with current. Current will not be constant. If here it will be, let's say, I1, here it will be I2, here it will be I3. Even though I have said only one point, it is assumed that it is measured with respect to ground voltage I am talking about, right? So at each and every point, what is happening? The voltages and currents are different. So if voltages and currents are different, obviously the impedance is also different along each and every point right? So that's why I said this module will just break down whatever you have learned so far into something else, right? So again, try to assimilate it. So far what you have studied is V equal to IR, right? So when is this applicable? When transit time effect is ignored. Not ignored, I can say not applicable. And when it is not applicable, if you are having low frequency, or if you have length of transmission line very low, right? But if you have a high frequency and if you have length of transmission line very high, then transit time effect comes into picture. And when this transit time effect comes into picture, what happens to these equations? They get transformed to this sort of equations. So they are not anyway linear, so they become differential equations. So don't just say these are differential equations. What is the underlying meaning? That these are the function of space now, right? Because it is derivative with respect to z. So current and voltages are functions of z, right? So they are changing if z is changing. Means if z equal to 0, I'll have some voltage V equal to V1. If z equal to 0.5, V2 will be the voltage. If z equal to 1, since z is changing, V will change. So this will be V3. Right? So at each and every point of space along the line, the voltage is changing, and consequently, and the current is also changing. So consequently, the impedance along the transmission line at each and every point will also change. So what do you understand further from this? So this is the meaning of that equation. So never see equations as mere mathematics, as I told you in the first 4 modules also, and 2 modules for ITRX. That see them as concepts, don't see them as pure mathematics. Okay, try to understand what these equations mean, and then they will be beautiful for you. Okay, so I'd like to end with this point, that since the voltage and current are changing at each and every point on the line, so does it have any meaning to talk in terms of voltage and currents for a transmission line? Obviously no, because at each and every point they are changing. So we cannot talk in terms of voltage and currents, right, for a transmission line. Why we cannot talk? Again, because they are changing at each and every point on the line, right? So what is the next thing that we'll see tomorrow. Okay.